Tell me what your thoughts are for longer term changes or longer term trends in the insights and
Yeah.
research space.
I personally would love the future to look like every engagement that insights or marketing has with the customer improves the relationship. So that might sound weird, but like there's millions and millions of touch points with consumers all the time that engage with research, which actually does nothing to build the brand relationship. They're long surveys, or you don't know what people do with the information, or they interrupt you at dinner time, or they interrupt you while you're trying to shop, or they send you a mismatched or misdirected survey on something, or they invite you to something you don't qualify for. It's all these touch points where brands just keep shooting themselves in the foot because it's not a great experience. So I think, the experience of engaging with the brand and giving them your feedback, or telling them about ideas you think about, or rating them, ranking them, whatever they're doing, needs to actually be a really good experience. So I think that's long term. And the good experience is that this is something I'm interested in. I've given you permission to talk to me about this issue. I know what you're doing with my information and my input. I can see something happening with it. In simple terms. So I think long term, that's what I would love to happen, because then actually that's just going to fuel more and more activity in our sector, because it's improving the relationship. So that's my one big aim, and that's what I hope the future looks like. I think the next 5 years is going to be about client side buyers getting their tech stack right, and whatever that looks like, single platform. And I don't mean they have to own it all, but like whoever they're working with, just trying to really work out what their stack is going to look like for their particular business, for their particular budget, for their particular use cases. Because as they do more and more insourcing, they're going to need to use the technology themselves a little bit, but they can't do all of it because they haven't got the resources to do it. So it's about trying to build the right tech stack that's going to suit you. And right now, I mean, the evidence coming out of the US and is saying that buyers are kind of overwhelmed because there's so many options. So I think there might be a business there for someone to kind of like guide people through this process.
Yeah, and I think I'd encourage people to really think about that tech stack as a layer of onions. And I think at the core of that onion needs to be the thing that's powering the business. And I think there needs to be a lot of consideration on a data engine, a data warehouse, whatever you want to call it, that is common across the organization. And I think as you layer more and more things on, and research and insights might sit at the third or fourth layer, ultimately the data you collect needs to filter back into that core business engine, that core data warehouse, whether it's a Snowflake or a Redshift or whatever. And then you can build the layers on top of that to do the work that you need to do. But if you get that bit right, not only does it mean that you've got a kind of cleanliness and almost an orderly structure at the business so that things operate smoothly, but it also means that you can go back in time and have a look at data you collected previously. Yeah. It also means that if you make a commitment at layer 3 to a particular piece of research technology and it turns out to be the wrong technology, you get rid of that research technology, but the underlying data still sits there, and you plug something else in at that layer and see if it produces better outcomes for you. It gives you a lot more modularity. And I think I've seen things, particularly, that might sit at layer 2 or layer 3, trying to be the single source of truth. And I think the big trend I've seen is that you need to, that single source of truth, that underlying data infrastructure needs to sit at the core of everything that's happening. And any outputs that are considered critical to the business to flow back into that engine.
Definitely. And you need to be able to link that. You can see that the media companies are trying to do it, with their big data lakes, etc. You need to be able to link back to conversations you've had before with people, so you can attribute, you understand what's happening again with the relationship over time. And the technical people for many years have called it longitudinal. I think of it as a relationship building over time, but you need to be able to refer back to that, because again, eroding the brand relationship with asking me the same questions you asked me a year ago is just it's not the right thing to do, and it doesn't help your position with brands. That's for sure. But there's so much with that, trying to get that single view of the customer. It's a real challenge, that's for sure. But there's a massive opportunity if you can get it right.